What is up? It's your boy Jermaine Event, main on MMA. How's everybody doing? Today we are checking out a video from the YouTube channel Mark Fighting. All right, channel is Mark Fighting. This video is about our boy Conor McGregor, the disgraced Conor McGregor. Okay, and this video is about why Conor McGregor got betrayed by his best friend, the GOAT, ladies and gentlemen, Artem Lobov. All right. So we're going to watch this video from Mark Fighting, and I'll give you some reactions throughout and at the end, ladies and gents.
Conor McGregor was just dealt a huge reputational blow in court. But what if I told you he has another court case on the horizon that could be even more damaging?
See, Artem suing Conor, he wants 5% of the... That's fucked.
Artem Lobov, his former friend, training partner, and the man who once called him brother, is now suing him for $8 million. Lobov claims that McGregor promised him 5% of his whiskey company, Proper 12.
Man, $8 million shouldn't be that much for Conor. He could probably just hand him that $8 million. This nigga's hanging out on yachts all the time. Got full gyms. He's training on yachts. Yet...
Yet never gave him his share of that money when it was sold.
The whiskey idea was Artem's idea. Artem took that to Conor. Whatever that means and whatever that looked like.
Yeah, I don't know what
he
that
went
means.
to Conor. Artem had the idea.
Without McGregor's help, the MMA world likely would have never have even heard the name Artem Lobov.
I mean, we don't know the details, but just from what Conor seemed like he was doing for Artem got him in the UFC basically. He had a shit record. Got him in the UFC, got him fights.
And Conor wants to settle it with a fight.
Call out to Artem the Fanny, Fairly Pad, Lobov. I'm challenging you to a fight tonight, 10:30 p.m. I'll meet you down at SBG Concord and we'll fight for the whole lot.
Now, the two who used to share blood, sweat, and tears on the mats of Dublin's SBG gym will go head-to-head once again, but this time in Dublin's high courts. So just how did the closest of friends become the most bitter of enemies? Funnily enough, both Conor and Artem can't remember the first time they met at John Kavanagh's Straight Blast gym. But at the time, MMA in Ireland wasn't the phenomenon it is today, and there weren't a bunch of training partners around. So due to being similar ages, similar in size, and having relatively equal experience levels, the two became extremely close training partners.
Conor would pay Artem. Artem would not pay Conor. That's for training. Artem would never accept. Everybody would accept. Everybody accept and you'd be excited. I throw you in that. I never got paid to be a training partner. Boy, if I got a check, oh, that would have been exciting. Real exciting. And Artem said no, just didn't think it was right. That's my friend. That's my teammate. That's what we do.
Weird.
Even early on, Conor McGregor was steps ahead of Artem when it came to skill, but the Russian-born fighter had one thing many didn't: true grit.
It's weird that you set that precedent, right? He's trying to pay you and all his training partners. Chael is stating that that's something that usually doesn't happen. All right. And 1 second here. It's something that doesn't usually happen. So, and he refused it every time. Everybody else took the money. Artem said, no, he's my friend. I don't need his money. That's interesting.
Artem would be there every night. And he did what he would do what, you know, what was asked of him, and then he'd love to, then he'd spar, and then he was always at him, hands down, in your face, taunting you and trying to take your head off.
Before McGregor had made a name for himself, there weren't many queuing up to spar him in the fear of that left hand, but Artem threw himself into the fire time and time again. Conor could work on his timing, durability, and get valuable rounds, while Lobov got to learn from a soon-to-be world-class MMA fighter. And as the months and years passed, the two grew extremely close. McGregor welcomed Artem into his small personal circle of friends, and they were seemingly attached at the hip. Even in McGregor's Cage Warrior days, you can see Artem in the background in his corner, and once Conor made it to the UFC, Artem was by his side every step of the way. While Lobov was getting to travel the world, likely eat in nice restaurants, and ride the coattails of Conor, up until this point, it was more Artem helping Conor in his pursuit of greatness. But soon, Artem would get his shot at the big leagues, and he only had Conor to thank. And before deep diving into how Conor helped Artem's career, make sure you click the subscribe button, as over 90% of you watching right now aren't subscribed. It helps the channel grow, so thank you.
People who are not fans of you just say, oh, he just hangs out with that guy and that's the only reason he gets things. So does that bother? Does that give you an extra chip on your shoulder to prove something?
You know, even if it was the case of me being in here just because of Conor, I'm very proud of being Conor's friend. Our friendship is built on blood, sweat, and broken bones. We've been, you know, many guys tried to be in my spot, but, you know, they couldn't survive the pressure. And, you know, those guys saying that they couldn't survive one day in my position, so.
In 2015, it was revealed that Artem Lobov had made the cut for The Ultimate Fighter the very same season that McGregor was the coach. Considering Lobov's underwhelming 11-10 record, it was in all likelihood Conor's influence on the UFC that got Lobov on the show. But things started horribly for Artem. He lost the preliminary fight to even get into the tough house, and that was seemingly that for him. But in the following episode, Dana White allowed the coaches to bring one eliminated fighter back, and no surprise who Conor chose.
If you could bring back one guy, who would you bring back?
Of course, I will have a stronger bond and a more deeper connection with Artem. I'm not going to fake it and say I don't and it's all equal, because it's not. I was here for Artem.
With the help of Conor, who some accused of giving preferential treatment to, Lobov actually made it all the way to the finals.
Artem has been a huge surprise. The guy gets a second chance to come back in, and he knocks out 3 guys.
And although he didn't win the show, he had somehow managed to get his foot in the UFC. In the end, Artem had 7 UFC fights. He made a bunch of money, got his shot in the UFC, and was able to make a name for himself. Even the MMA world took to Lobov. They knew he was
definitely
world
didn't watch
champion
that season of
but the fan base
Ultimate
always
Fighter.
cheered for him, and there was even a widespread meme about Lobov being the GOAT. And all the success can be attributed to Conor McGregor.
But from what Conor seemed like he was doing for Artem, got him in the UFC basically. He had a shit record. Got him in the UFC, got him fights, got him popular.
Artem was on the Ultimate Fighter that I was on, and he didn't even make the cut through the producers and stuff because of his record.
Still got signed.
Conor said, hey, bring him in. And then he lost. Artem lost his first fight. But Conor's like, we're going to bring one of them back. So Uriah got to bring one back. And Uriah told me it was going to be me, but I already tore my arm, so I couldn't come back. And on the other team, it was Artem who comes back. All because of Conor, 100%.
Without him, he likely never would have made it to the Ultimate Fighter or the UFC and would just be known as one of McGregor's training partners. But through his association with Conor, Artem would actually be the catalyst for one of the most controversial, violent, and wild moments in UFC history. It all started when Artem Lobov was asked about Khabib Nurmagomedov in the build-up to UFC 223, an event where both men would be fighting. In a Russian interview, Lobov accused Khabib of pulling out of too many fights, missing weight, and not caring about his fans who have traveled from Russia just for him to cancel the fight.
Когда Хабиб снимался уже 6 раз. Он снимается, у него там чуть-чуть заболело, у него там в заднице или еще где-то, он снимается. Но один чемпион и выйдет несмотря ни на что. А другой секунд будет сниматься каждый раз. Так ему оплюх на улице где-нибудь, если попадется, могу надавать без проблем.
Why did he say that? So Artem started the whole thing. Did I miss something, man? I think. And let's go back.
It all started when Artem Lobov was asked about Khabib Nurmagomedov in the build-up to UFC 223, an event where both men would be fighting. In a Russian interview, Lobov accused Khabib of pulling out of too many fights, missing weight, and not caring about his fans who have traveled from Russia just for him to cancel the fight.
Когда Хабиб снимался уже 6 раз. Он снимается, у него там чуть-чуть заболело, у него там в заднице или еще где-то, он снимается. Но один чемпион и выйдет несмотря ни на что. А другой секунд будет сниматься каждый раз. Так ему оплюх на улице где-нибудь, если попадется, могу надавать без проблем.
He started the whole thing. He should have got slapped up.
And in comparison, said
Damn, I
McGregor
didn't
is a
know
true
that.
champion who shows up hurt or not. So what?
Now, see, man, I never knew Artem started that. Knowing Artem started that, Conor should not have flown to New York. This nigga was talking shit. And then he ran into him. He was like, when I see him, I'll definitely slap him up. Then you ran into him and you got slapped up. Leave it alone.
When the two met in the corridors of the New York hotel on fight week, it was anything but friendly. That clip went viral on MMA Twitter, and it must have caught the attention of McGregor because he rounded up his friends, boarded the first plane he could, and went straight for Nurmagomedov. It led to perhaps the craziest thing to ever happen in a UFC fight week. It ultimately cost Artem his fight as the UFC pulled him from the card, but it just goes to show what McGregor was willing to do to defend his teammate. And while that time it was McGregor coming to Artem's aid, the next time the roles were reversed as he turned down a UFC fight to help prepare McGregor for the biggest fight of his life.
You said in an interview recently that you had been offered a fight by the UFC against Andre Fili around summertime, but this was bigger, you know, to be there for Conor, to help him with the training. After everything that has gone, I suppose, on in both of your careers up until this point, it seemed like it was a no-brainer for you to make that decision.
Yeah, and it also came at the time just when the fight was announced for Conor versus Mayweather, so you know, I knew I couldn't take the fight. I knew, you know, there's going to be so much work for this, and everyone is going to be needed. You know, the whole team. You know, we've done pretty well. You know, over the years, this has been the team, as we call it, the dream team. So we thought, you know, why change the formula? You know, this is exactly what works for us. So let's keep it that way.
As part of McGregor's preparation for Floyd Mayweather, he brought in pro boxer Paulie Malignaggi. The two sparred. Paulie was paid, and seemingly that was that.
Get him out, get him out. Oh, stop! Stop right there. Let's go.
But McGregor's team would post photos online showing Conor getting the better of Paulie. Of course, Malignaggi didn't take too kindly to being embarrassed, and a spat between him and Conor's crew began.
The spars were not good for him. He took a lot of head trauma. Straight after it, we were worried. The sparring partners were actually telling us when he was dropped back to the home that he was stumbling out of the car after the 12-rounder. He was knocked down. He was flattened against the ropes. Multiple times the ropes kept him on his feet. We were worried about him. We thought the worst was that to happen. You know what I mean? There was no pick. Don't be get over it. Relax. Did you bring your balls? Did you bring your balls, Conor? Remember, did you bring your balls, Conor? Get over it. Did you bring your balls? Did you bring your balls, Conor? All sparring. Remember what I said? When you quit like a bitch, Saturday.
There were rumors that Conor would step into the squared circle to fight Paulie for real, but instead, the focus shifted to Artem instead. And eventually, a bare-knuckle boxing match between Artem and Paulie went down, with Artem essentially representing Conor McGregor and their SBG gym.
You know, he's coming off a couch. This guy is only here for the money. We all know it. This is, once again, like I said, the sad truth of boxing. Could happen to any one of us. You know, 1 in 5 boxer retires with brain damage, and they all broke. This is just the sad truth of combat sports. This happened to Paulie, unfortunately. So unfortunately, he is here. Having to do that, but you know, what are you gonna do? Saturday night he's gonna make a nice paycheck, I'm gonna make 2 holes on his head, and we're gonna go home happy.
And somewhat surprisingly, the journeyman MMA fighter beat the former pro boxer.
Malignaggi, who's a legitimate world champion and a world-class boxer, you know, a few years past his prime and hasn't really been fighting.
Yep.
But then you see him fight a guy like Artem Lobov, who's used to fighting with MMA gloves. There's not much of a difference fighting bare knuckle. And Lobov actually winds up beating him in a decision, which nobody fucking saw coming.
It was a huge win for Artem, and again showed just how tight he and Conor McGregor were. At the time, Conor's star power was through the roof, and through the Floyd fight, a deal with the UFC, and so much more, his newly found whiskey company Proper 12 was thriving. But allegedly, a big underlying reason it took off so well was actually Artem Lobov's help. And now he's coming for the $8 million.
What does that mean, man? Everybody has liquor deals. What does it mean that he brought this deal to Conor? Who came to Artem first instead of Conor?
Thinks he's owed.
taste of what's coming. The big, I suppose, selling point, if you want to call it that, of my book will be the Proper 12 whiskey story. Few people know it, but this was actually my idea. I was the person that came up with the idea to do whiskey for Conor.
According to Artem, he had met with numerous whiskey distillers across Ireland, put a deal together, taken it to Conor and his manager, Adi Attar, and
Why?
that was the birth of...
Did he... See, this is my thing. If Conor didn't... If there was no contract for him to go pursue this deal, he just did it and then hoped to get paid, that's crazy.
Proper 12's success. As a result, Artem claimed that McGregor verbally agreed to give 5% of his share of Proper 12 to Artem. So when the company was sold in 2021 for $600 million and Conor McGregor took home around 150 of that for himself, Artem desperately wanted his slice of the pie. It caused the end of their decade-long friendship as the two became bitter enemies seemingly overnight.
What's at the happening area with me all the time? I've got people and with Artem and all the rest. I just I'm doing me, I focus on my family, my team. I don't expect, put your hand down my face. You help someone, right? If you help someone, it's important to help someone. It's important to help, right? Because we all start with zero. So it's important to help down. But if you help down and bring someone up and rise someone up, and then when they're there, the hand comes out again. And then, okay, for me, no problem, I'll do it again, I'll do it. Then after a while, it's like, I can't keep doing this. Because people become a dead weight, and then they begin to drag you down.
Artem filed a lawsuit against McGregor to get what he deems to be his share. And in response, well, McGregor just offered to settle it with a fight at the gym.
This is a call out to Artem the Fanny, Fairly Pad, Lobov. I'm challenging you to a fight tonight, 10:30 p.m. I'll meet you down at SBG Concord and we'll fight for the whole lot. Going through having lawyers message me about defamation and all this soon and all. You're a little blouse, mate. We'll see you at SBG Concord tonight, 10:30 p.m. and I'll fight you for the whole lot, yeah?
Lobov, of course, didn't accept that offer, but since then, leaked text messages between the two have come out where McGregor says he'll look after Artem for his help in building Proper 12.
So they did talk. They got this on
and it
text.
may come as a surprise, but the two have actually already
So that's
gone
not
to
just
court
a
in Ireland.
verbal That's not like, oh, I was talking to him. Y'all have the text series, proof that he can take to court.
About this at the end of 2023, where McGregor admitted to offering around $1 million to Artem, who turned it down. In that case, Artem claimed to be a founder of Proper 12 and wanted a fair share of the revenue the company had made, but the High Court sided with McGregor in that instance. Now though, Artem wants 5% of McGregor's share in the sale of Proper 12, which works out to be around $8 million. It's all set to come to a head in January of 2025, and if unsuccessful, it's another major blow to Conor McGregor's reputation, finance, and career at a time when he could really do without any more negative publicity. And speaking of negative publicity, check out this deep dive on McGregor's recent court appearance and how it may have been the final blow to his UFC career.
So that was interesting, all right? It's interesting to see that they do have text messages where Conor says he's going to pay him. But if Conor did offer to pay him $1 million and he turned it down, but now he's just upset, like now he wants money. Like, I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird situation going in there. And I think it's another civil case, right? It's another civil case with Artem Lobov. And as we see, you don't need to be able to prove something happened in a civil case. I think it said you only need I think there's 12 jurors and you need 9 of them to go one way for that to be the decision. All right. You don't even need it to be unanimous. All right. It doesn't need to be unanimous and it doesn't need to be something you can prove. You just need to have a good argument. All right. You just have to have a good argument. And with Conor's public, with his reputation, I'd say right now at an all-time low, He's probably gonna lose this case as well. It's weird, man. I don't know. I'm looking at the different, like, Artem started Artem started a lot of the nonsense here. Like, I don't even know who Conor McGregor would be right now if Artem didn't start talking trash, saying he would smack up Khabib when he sees him. Why? Like, oh my God. Like, Conor got you on The Ultimate Fighter. Your record was 10-11. And you're trash talking the undefeated fighter over there. For what reason? Like, what logic is this, man? I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then you just were surrounded by his people and you didn't do anything. He's got his hand around you, holding on you like his lover. And why didn't you do anything in that moment? Because you were surrounded? Fuck that. You said, when I see him, I'm going to slap him. You should have did it. I mean, I think y'all were at a UFC event. Like, it's not like they would have murdered him right there. Maybe he would have got hit with a few times. But, like, they were in New York for that event where Khabib was going to fight Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson trips, right, over a wire. And then the Conor incident happens, defending Artem Lobov, who was talking shit. And Khabib walked up on him and slapped the shit out of him, as he should have. And Artem did nothing about it. Why was you talking shit? All right? Why was you talking shit? Conor should have never came with that dolly. I didn't realize how much of a nonsense that was, man. I think Conor's done too much for Artem just based off that alone. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Conor McGregor owes Artem Lobov, or do you think he's already done enough for Artem Lobov? Let me know in the comments, ladies and gents. Thank you for being here once again. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I will see you guys when I see you. I'll holla.